We don't know. We don't know what we're gonna. I figure we'll just wait and see what he looks like and kind of have the book out and whatever they flip to and just kind of point at. Or whatever they respond to. I don't know if that's how it works. No, that's.
Sounds like there's still some work to do on that topic, huh? And I have this feeling that this whole adventure has been something of a surprise, at least for Lewis. He shared with us a few weeks ago that if 16 months ago someone had said, yes, you will be married, living in the Midwest, and expecting a baby during a pandemic, that nobody could have predicted that this is where he would be at this moment. So sometimes I think maybe life has felt like you've opened up your mouth and someone put a fire hose inside of it here, full of surprises. And one time I asked him, so, how do you feel about being a dad? And he looked at me and he said, don't look at me, I'm just an innocent bystander. And I said, Lewis, you are neither an innocent nor a bystander in this whole process. So, Ella, how did you tell Lewis that you were expecting, that you were pregnant?
I don't remember. I do remember. I talked to my older sister because my nephew's turning 1 next week. So I was asking her for, okay, what pregnancy test, stuff. I'm like, I've never bought one before. What do I do? So I was very scared to go to the drugstore and get one. So she recommended one. So I got it on Amazon. And it was like this box with all sorts of little pregnancy test strips. So there was plenty of strips in case I messed it up. So I tested and it was positive, and I showed Lewis and he didn't want to believe it. So what did he do?
Well, hold on. Now. To be fair, I was taught in the scientific method. And in order to make sure that an experiment is indeed correct, you need a trial and you need to run a test and you need to have a control. So I figured to make sure that indeed the results were accurate, that I would be said control.
So Lewis got one of the little pregnancy test strips and had to pee on it to show that they weren't faulty and that
I wasn't pregnant.
And he wasn't pregnant.
I'm not pregnant.
So that's how we figured it out. And then we went to the doctor and they confirmed it.
Now you see what I get to work with, don't you? Well, I'll tell you, it has been just an absolute blessing for me to work with Lewis and get to know this couple. Some of you may not know this story, but we didn't know each other whatsoever until we landed here one day for our first Sunday worship or weekend worship. And I can remember that we divvied up the responsibilities, and Lewis was responsible for coordinating the details of worship, although we both worked to plan them. And some of you may have experienced this, but we were sitting over here and we were singing the song right after the sermon. And Lewis leaned over, and in the nice way that he always helps make things easy for me, he said, this is the 3rd verse and we should go up there now because this is the last verse. So we went up to the altar. And as the 3rd verse ended, I was about to get ready to lead the Apostles' Creed when the 4th verse started being played. And I looked at him, and we both got the giggles because he had forgotten there was a 4th verse. And so we were both up there, and I realized this is going to work. This is going to be just fine. It's really been a wonderful year. So, Lewis, how are you getting ready to be a dad?
Yeah, Lewis, what are you doing to get ready?
It's really quiet over there, isn't it?
Yes, dear. Of course, dear. Whatever you like, dear. I love you, dear. I don't know, that covers it, right? There's a book on my nightside table. Not what to expect when you're expecting, but the dad's version of Dad 101. But instruction manuals. I don't use instruction manuals like IKEA furniture. You just throw it together and see what pieces are left over. So I just I'll wing it. It'll be just fine. I'll take everything I've learned and. What was the question?
Okay, let's go back to a more basic one here, because this one seems to be causing some stress. Louis, what is the exact date that you were married?
June 23rd
Of?
last year, 2019.
What's the exact date that your baby is due?
October. For this year. 4th? 7th?
A little higher. No, lower.
Ninth, October 9th. October 9th. It's a Friday. I know that much.
It is?
No, I don't know. I just.
Oh.
Take a good look at Ella, now that you know the date that baby is due. You might need to stand up. Okay.
Stand up.
Do you feel comfortable with the jacket off, or you want to leave it on?
Oh, this is in my pocket.
Okay, 3 options for the audience. Please raise your hand. How many of you think that their baby will deliver earlier than October 9th?
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice, right? A little bit early, so
Okay,
it's not so
we
big.
got a couple here. Okay. How many of you think that baby will arrive late? Okay,
Probably, that's probably
maybe
what's
about
gonna
the
happen.
same number. And
They do, yeah.
what did someone say? First babies come late a lot, huh?
I was a week
Okay,
late.
very good. How many of you think that baby will arrive on the due date? Oh, okay, more or less, huh? More or less. Very good. Well, now what we need to do is to help get Louis in particular ready for this baby. So, one evening he asked the church council, do you have any advice for raising boys? And I said, you don't raise boys. They raise you, okay? The mothers and parents of boys know what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, let's try and get them off to the best start possible. What advice do you have for new parents? And if you want to stand up, and if you need to take off your mask, or Debbie can repeat it, or give you a mic, whatever you need. Okay, advice for new parents. Okay, Ann.
Be flexible. Don't feel like you have to be so rigid on everything, because that baby will decide your schedule.
You'll get a lot of advice on how to raise this baby, but trust your instincts as young parents and you'll know what to do.
Don't ever wish that your baby is going to start doing the next thing. You can't wait till he walks. You can't wait until he does this or he does that. Enjoy them at the moment, because they go so fast.
I can't help you with boys, but I can just say, pray.
I know you're from out of town, but turn your phone off. Sleep when the baby sleeps so that you can get all the rest you need. You can talk to the people later.
I was just going to say, don't be afraid to ask for advice. If you're scared, if things are going on, if they're, it's not in the book. Sometimes it's not in the book. Don't be afraid to ask, doctors, friends who have children.
They are very nice and
That'd be nice.
give us everything that we need, I guess.
Very nice and give you everything that you need. Wonderful.
Ooh.
Notice he used the word need and not want.
If somebody offers to help you, accept that help. It doesn't mean that you can't do it or you're not doing it right. Let people help you.
Enjoy
Was
it.
there
Enjoy it.
enjoy? Very good. Well, I'll add a little bit of advice of my own, is be sure and tell stories. Stories of your family, story of your background, stories of your faith, stories from the Bible. And that leads to the fact that, we are the recipients of a great treasure of stories, culture, history that we don't always know about. It's like underneath the iceberg under the water. Most of it is hidden. But we're going to have you finish some nursery rhymes so that we can see how much stories and our culture influence us, even though we don't realize it. I'll start and you finish with the final word. Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the dish ran away with the... Very good. And I know that Louis loves cats, so I wanted to... Not exactly from what I recall. Okay. Here's another one. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. He put her in a...
Pumpkin shell.
And there he kept her very well. And I put this in here because do not take this advice, Louis. Do not put Ella into a pumpkin shell. She will not keep very well in that pumpkin shell.
But you can
Okay.
feed me pumpkin pie.
And this is to show the diversity that there's sometimes in a family in a beautiful way. Jack Sprat could eat no fat. His wife could eat no...
Lean.
And so betwixt the two of them, they licked the platter clean. Isn't that the way it goes a lot in a marriage and in a family, is that we all have different skills and likes, and together it becomes a beautiful thing. And so we are getting to the point where some of you, I know, are eager to see some of these gifts in here. So I started out this time telling funny stories about Louis and how I had compiled them. But what many of you don't know is that in my next congregation, I'm going to the Peoria area. And that's where Ella grew up. And it's where she served as a youth director. And it's where her parents live. And the pastor that retired at the end of May that I will be succeeding baptized Ella. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to her hometown. Well, that's another question. Today we're talking about babies, not calls. Okay. But I just want to say that I'm going to investigate all I can and gather some stories. So be watching for the sequel. Funny stories about Ella. Okay. Thank you. I love you both. It's been a pleasure to be with you this year, and I know that you will be excellent parents. And I told Louis, I said, being a pastor is wonderful. It's the third best job in the world. And the second best job in the world is to be a parent. Of course, the best job in the world is to be a grandpa. But you're going to have to wait a while for that. So.
Okay, for this next half hour-ish, we're going to ask Ella and Louis to open the gifts. And